warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, I'm Salsabila Putri Maulydia with my last student number 7029. Today we're going to talk about instructional sequencing, how we can organize learning in a way that makes it easier and more effective for students to understand and remember. The first one is, what is instructional sequencing? Instructional sequencing is the process of arranging learning material in a logical order. Imagine trying to build a house. You wouldn't start with the roof before laying the foundation, right? The same goes for learning. We start with the basic and gradually move to more complex ideas. And the second one is, why is sequencing important? Sequencing is important because it helps students learn step by step. When information is presented in the order, the first one, students build a strong foundation before tackling harder topic. The second one, they can make better connection between ideas. And the third one is learning becomes structured and more effective. The third one is the level of course organization. Courses are organized at different levels to ensure smooth learning progression. The first one, lifelong objective. Skilled students will continue to use beyond the course. The second one is end of course objective. It is what students should achieve by the end of the course. And then the third one is unit objective. So it is goals for each major section of the course. The fourth one is specific objective. It is when we are learning targets within a lesson. The fifth one is enabling objective. It is small skills that support the bigger learning goals. And the sixth one is example of course sequencing. Let's take a writing skills as an example. The first one is about the course level. It is learn how to write essay. The second one is unit level. It is understanding how to structure paragraphs. And the third one is lesson level. So it is learning how to create a strong topic sentence. The fourth one is lesson component level. So we use correct grammar and punctuation. The fifth one is each step built upon the previous one, helping students learn effectively. And the seventh one is factors to consider in sequencing. When planning a course, we need to consider, first one, what students already know, so we don't repeat unnecessary information. Second one is the time available to ensure lesson fit within the course schedule. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Meilani Amelia and my lesson number is 047. So in this video, I will explain the sequence of the course and curriculum and why it is important for effective teaching, especially in EFL classroom. So, have you ever struggled to understand a lesson because the previous topic wasn't clear? That's why the order in which we teach matters. A well-structured course helps students build their knowledge step by step, making learning easier and more meaningful. Now, let's explore how to sequence a course and lessons effectively. In any subject, including EFL, topics are made up of different skills that need to be taught in a logical order. If we skip important steps or introduce topics too early, students might struggle to understand new materials. First, let's discuss about analyzing topic objectives to determine learning outcomes. Before we create lessons, we must first identify what we want students to learn. This is called analyzing topic objectives. A well-written objective should be clear and measurable. For example, instead of saying, understand past tense, which is too vague, we can say, use the past tense correctly in sentences about past events. Now, let's relate this into an EFL classroom. Imagine we are teaching writing a paragraph. Before students can do that, they must first learn how to write complete sentences. Second, understand basic grammar structure. Third, know how to use transition words. If we don't teach these skills first, students will struggle with paragraph writing. Second, identifying lessons. Once we know the objectives, we must decide how to divide them into lessons. A lesson should focus on a specific learning outcome and be structured in a way that students can follow easily. For example, in EFL classroom, if we want to teach writing a persuasive essay, we wouldn't start with the final writing task. Instead, we would break it down like this. First, lesson 1, understanding opinion versus fact. Lesson 2, learning persuasive vocabulary such as I believe, in my opinion, and etc. Lesson 3, writing a thesis statement. Lesson 4, structuring body paragraphs. And lesson 5, writing the full essay. So by sequencing lessons this way, students develop their skills step by step. Now, let's talk about organizing skills within a single lesson. A lesson is a smaller unit of course, and just like topics, lessons should be structured logically. A lesson should follow a structure like a lesson map, which includes first, main objectives, what students should achieve by the end of the lessons. Second, entry skills, what students already know and can use in the lesson. Third, sub-objectives, small steps that help students can achieve the main objective. Let's take an example from EFL class. Suppose the lesson goal is students will be able to ask for and give directions in English. A lesson sequence might look like this. First, review. Students recall prepositions like next to, opposite, behind, and etc. Second, listening practice. Students listen to a conversation about directions. Third, guided practice. Student practice giving directions with a partner. And fourth, role play activity. Students ask and give direction in a real life scenario. And the last one, wrap up. Students reflect on their learning. So by following this sequence, students can gradually develop their speaking skills with confidence. When planning lesson sequences, we should follow these 4 important rules. First, build on previous knowledge. Every new lesson should connect to what students have already learned. Second, teach skills in the right order. Start with simpler concepts before moving to complex ones. Third, eliminate unnecessary objectives. Focus on what students really need to learn at each stage. And fourth, ensure a complete sequence. Make sure there are no missing steps that could confuse students. For example, when teaching English pronunciation, we wouldn't ask students to say complex tongue twisters before they have practiced individual sounds.
Hello everyone, my name is Putri Nurfadilah and my last student number is 061. So now I will explain about learning hierarchies and instructional sequence. Have you ever struggled to learn English and felt stuck? The issue might not be your ability, but the way the learning process is structured. Now I will explain the concept of learning hierarchies and how they help make learning English easier and more effective. A learning hierarchy is a structured sequence of skills where each new skill builds upon prerequisite skills. If students don't master the basic first, learning the next level becomes difficult. But what exactly is a prerequisite skill? A prerequisite skill is a foundational skill that must be learned first in order to successfully learn a more advanced skill. Without mastering these prerequisite skills, learning the next step will be much harder or even impossible. For example, before a student can write a persuasive essay in English, they need to have mastered several prerequisite skills. Let's take an example from English learning writing a persuasive essay. To successfully do this, students must first understand persuasive writing techniques like using arguments and supporting evidence. And then they have to use correct sentence structures, knowing how to form complex and compound sentences. They must have a strong vocabulary so they can express ideas clearly. And then they have to know basic grammar rules to construct sentences correctly. And the last one, they have to be able to form simple sentences as a foundation for more complex writing. Each of these steps is a prerequisite for the next. If a student struggles with writing a persuasive essay, the issue is likely a gap in one of these prerequisite skills. If they don't know enough vocabulary or struggle with sentence structure, writing an essay will feel frustrating. So how does this help teachers? If a student faces difficulties, instead of assuming they are just bad at writing, the teacher should check which prerequisite skills are missing and provide targeted instruction. This approach ensures students learn step by step without unnecessary struggles. In conclusion, learning hierarchies helps structure lessons logically, making learning smoother and more enjoyable. When designed well, students can build their English skills step by step, ensuring they become confident learners. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name's Alisia Evril with last student number 041. So now I would like to talk about integrating multiple objectives. Alright, so as we know that a lesson has several different objectives and also several different types of objectives. Usually, multiple objectives can be selected for a course topic or for a comprehensive module within a course. For example, a lesson or topic may have a primary objective of procedural rules to organize its mechanics. So there are examples of parts that may need to be learned, So the first oral information about the various types and characteristics of mechanism, then attitudes of carefulness and precision, and then avoidance of hazards. Alright, so now I would like to talk about the goal schema. So when we engage in learning several different objectives integrated in a goal, learners must carry out a number of cognitive operations. They must be able to retrieve this prior knowledge consisting of both for verbal information and prerequisite intellectual skills. Now the first one is cognitive operations in learning. So learners must perform several cognitive tasks when engaging with integrated learning objectives. These include retrieving prior knowledge, both verbal information and intellectual skills. And the second one is mental set and transfer of learning. So learners must maintain a mental set which involves keeping in mind how newly learned material will be used or displayed. So this is crucial for the transfer of learning, applying what has been learned in the learning and teaching process. And the third one is metacognitive schema. So this is the integration of prior knowledge, current learning, and future goals is facilitated by a metacognitive structure. This schema allows learners to periodically reflect on the relationship between these elements, ensuring that learning is purposeful and goal-oriented. And the fourth one is goal activity and purposeful learning. So this is the learning activities are not just random tasks but are purposeful tasks. For example, so knowledge of reading skills might be displayed differently depending on the context. For example, in answering driving test questions versus comprehending poetry. These activities are termed enterprises where the goal is the internal representation and the enterprise is the external activity that leads to learning. Alright, next, enterprise as purposeful activities. So the concept of an enterprise is introduced to describe the external goal-directed activities that learners engage in. These enterprises are not just activities but are driven by a clear purpose aligning with the learner's goals. As I have explained that the cognitive representation of this enterprise is the learner's goals. So you have to understanding the goal first. When you start learning something, you need to know what you are trying to achieve. So this is your goal and this is the main focus of your learning. After that, your brain organizes this goal into a structure we call goal schema. So this structure connects your goal to the skills, knowledge, and attitudes you need to achieve it. For example, you might need to remember facts, rules, or strategies to reach your goal. To help you connect all the pieces of knowledge to your goal, your brain uses something we call script or scenario. So this is like a step-by-step mental guide that reminds you of what you have learned so far and what you still need to do. This script acts like a roadmap for your learning. They help you stay on track by showing you where you are and where you are headed, so making it easier to apply what you have learned to achieve your goal. Alright, so now we move to the forms of goal schemas. There are different types of goals in learning, like explaining something in detail, or we can say that denoting, teaching step by step, or manifesting, or solving problems, and we can say that discovering. All of these goals involve mixing different skills and knowledge to get the work done. The first type is denoting. So this is when you go beyond just naming or pointing at something. You explain what it is, how it looks, and how it works. So for example, if you are describing a typewriter, you wouldn't just say its name, you'll also explain its parts and how it functions. The second type is manifesting. This is when you teach or show someone how to do something step by step. Next, discovering. This is about solving problems or finding new ways to do things. It usually involves using both thinking skills and knowledge. And last is multiple objectives. No matter what the goal is, it usually involves combining different skills, knowledge, and steps to achieve it.